think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust friends.
Yeah, that's funny about the woke thing. That's I guess since I don't know, I don't know we'll use any of this, but the
yeah, so, let the axe fall on that. But anyway.
Yeah, well, no, whatever. It's Chris, the Alex Jones thing. And actually, I guess James, you saw like just you don't really know this guy, but
no,
just
I mean, he looks like a scumbag, and I'm trying to understand it by these horrific court perjuries, but.
Yeah, just the look on his face, like he's all sweaty and he looks like shit. He looks like he's been drinking, and he's on the stand. And just that moment where the lawyer's like, "Did you know we have all your text messages? Do you know what perjury is? That's so sweet. That's
amazing.
Yeah, considering all the damage that guy's done and like how central he is to like all of America's illnesses. Yeah. Just really, really warms the cockles of my heart just to know that he's going to get fucking buried.
It's amazing. They, the lawyer, Mark Bankston, he even told the guy, like, look, you sent more than you intended to. And so the guy just said, like, just disregard that. But like, he didn't declare it privileged information. So they waited 10 days. And after that point, they were free to use it, which is just fucking amazing. Like, I guess when you go through 7 or 8 lawyers and just be a total shitbag and like just like, be so toxic that you can't even work with like the scummiest of scum lawyers, you're eventually going to reach the bottom of the barrel, and that's this fucker.
Yeah, and they've got to come in on they come in on the wing and have no idea what they're doing and what they're getting in for, and like when they gave those Bankston and everything, like the disclosure. And there's the 100-page background check on Larry Posner, one of the parents of the Sandy Hook families, and they're like, do you know where this came from? And like nobody knows where it came from, and nobody knows why it was disclosed to the other party. You're like, oh my god, like how do you how it just goes to show that it doesn't take intelligence to make money anywhere in the world. You just have to be a fucking prick and a liar and a sleazebag and have no shame and you can make it, man. You can always make it with those qualities. Unfortunately, no, not always, but if you have the special gift, which Alex does, sadly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got he's just a carnival sideshow barker, and he's good at it.
Yeah. Not anymore.
No, hopefully not. Well, yeah, whatever. 4 million is not enough. Hopefully damages are more, but.
Yeah. Well, this is the first trial. There's like 4 other.
That's true.
Trials.
I get you, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So fuck. Good riddance. And then they handed over his text to the July 6th committee.
Love it. January 6th,
January. Sorry. And given his involvement with Stuart Rhodes and Roger Stone and racist grandpa and Enrico Ontario, all those guys, there's got to be something in those texts that's just gonna fuck him right into the ground, and that'll be sweet too. That would be very satisfying.
You can't kind of like you can't write that. Like, it's insane. Yeah. What a ridiculous boneheaded fuck up that is.
Yeah.
That guy will never practice law again. No one's ever going to hire that dude again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess so. So anyway, happy about that. It's been keeping me warm at night, even though it's been so fucking hot, and I don't want to be warm at night, but I'll take it.
In this case, you did.
Yeah. Yeah, like not, I don't know, not cold like the depths of space.
Speaking of the worst of humanity.
Yeah. Wow, there we go. Yeah, speaking of, nightmare Earth realms. Yeah, we should talk about Caliban. We should open the Extinction Agenda for business and talk to ourselves about Garth Ennis and Facundo Percio's Caliban, a 7-issue miniseries that came out from Avatar Press because it's Avatar August, in 2014. Feels like it was older. This is Garth Ennis's. I think this is rare for him. I might be mistaken, or at the time it felt rare. This is his space horror entry. I don't know if he has any other space horror entries. This might be the only one. I was really smitten with this fella, and I wanted you guys to read it because I thought you might enjoy it as well. And so I don't know, was I right?
Yeah, I mean, I get fired up about an Avatar book ever since you sent me down that 4-book journey, the Super Soldiers.
Oh, right, Uber. Right.
Yeah, I've been an Avatar fan ever since. Add Nemesis on, oof, you got a stew going.
Nemesis. Nemesis. That's not Avatar, is it? You're talking of.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, it's Millar World. My bad.
Yeah.
Same quality.
That shows. You might have been thinking of Black Summer, with Jose.
Yeah.
Anyway,
hey, it printed in Canada.
Fucking right.
God,
Not sure why, but
you beauty.
Yeah, I think the Avatar people. What's this guy? William Christensen. Anyway, so Chris, what did you think of this?
I thought it was solid. I liked it. I felt like I liked the first issue a lot, and then I felt it didn't totally live up to the promise necessarily, but overall good.
Okay, there we go. That's interesting. Let's if you don't mind, let's dig into that like right away. What did you feel the promise of the first issue? Like what did it promise that it didn't deliver on?
I liked, there's just so much that happens in the first issue, and it seems like it's going to go to a place that I haven't seen before. I guess that's really what it is, where all of these elements are ultimately familiar and a little bit derivative. Like, you got your special Garth sauce on it. Like it's got something to it in the characterization and that sort of stuff. So yeah, but just I thought it was, I don't know. I just was hoping that it would go someplace that I hadn't seen.
Right. No, and that is one thing about this book. It doesn't. I'm wondering if it's still, to my mind, it feels a little bit. What's the saying? The whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Yes, I think that's fair. Yeah.
All the parts are derivative. Like this is Alien. This is Event Horizon. Well, that's it. I don't know what.
It's mainly those two things. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the two primary things that I would immediately compare it to. And
yeah, well, there's there's some like there's some like lower end sci-fi in there a little bit too. Feels a little Babylon 5-ish or I don't know. There's it's like a Body Snatchers.
There we go.
Sort of
definitely,
like it's more like a psychological like a version of the Alien, but I like how he jerks you off with the squid thing too, though, just to make you
a little bit of Lovecraft stuff.
They make you worry that there's going to be some squid horror, but there's not.
Oh, and yet there is, when Nomi opens up the chamber and the squid just like collapses on top of her and then just like gives birth to like right in her mouth. That's horrible. Like,
yeah.
Garth's fucked. I've been really. I know this isn't a surprise to say, but I still he still shocks me with like. I've been flipping through some of his more recent comics from Aftershock and that kind of thing, and I haven't read them, but I'm flipping through them and just some of the imagery, and I'm just like, shit, this just like popped into this guy's brain. And I know that's his job, especially like in a visual medium, but I'm always. If you contrast it with like his sort of down to earth militarism and infatuation with just soldiers and police and crime and stuff like that, that really Elmore Leonard stuff, the high altitude sort of poetic monstrous imagery that he's able to produce in Crossed and this work and other works. it surprises. It surprises, like, that contrast to have those two things in the same mind. Very chilling. I don't care for it.
Well, there's a couple other things this work suffers from too, and one of the biggest things is that there are these magical panels, like where it's phenomenal, like that squid scene, and then there's the fight where Kieran first sort of outs himself as an alien, where we're doing no fucking backgrounds at all, and we're drawing faces like I did in grade 12.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, if I gotta read 7 fucking pages like that, it's gonna be real hard for me to enjoy what's happening here, even despite the great script. So that's an Avatar thing too, but that's okay.
It really is. Yeah. Like in the defense of Percio, let's say it's Percio, might be Percio. Percio. It is like this hollow chamber or something like that, but I know that's bullshit.
Yeah, he's on and off. Like, you can kind of see that throughout, and then you'll just all of a sudden you'll hit a page where I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going 6 panels per page, nice and clean, like fucking Alan Moore style. Only I'm looking at the exact same fucking face on 2 different women throughout an entire conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I might as well just close my eyes and read it to me.
Yeah, it's solid enough. But yeah, definitely it's got the, I guess, workman deadline-y qualities to it.
Yeah, Avatar is not a big draw. Like, the only reason they can draw guys like Garth Ennis and Alan Moore and Warren Ellis is because the editor-in-chief, Christensen, is basically like, hey, come over here. You can do all your perverted shit, and we'll just give you, like, this person or this person, and they'll draw your weird perverted shit. And sometimes that person's good, like a Jason Burrows or Juan Jose Rip, or sometimes you just get these guys. And, like, there's no the standard's pretty low.
And that's fair too. Don't be like, hey, I got a space horror that I want to dedicate, to H.R. Giger, and you know what I mean, and they're probably like, 100%, like, you get 100% creative flow, like, just drop your pure script on us and we'll work it, right? So that's what this kind of feels like, and it was good, man, because it was like, alternatively, there are different things to be concerned about here, like rather than the sort of generic alien space horror. Like, yes, we're trapped in a tin can in space. Also, very different to be, like, sort of phased into another ship. Like, that's horrific. And I mean, really, like, cool. and it's really, that's, I think that's kind of the part of the stuff that bugged me, is because, like, that was done okay, but if it was done really well, you would have been really fucking grossed out and terrified. From
an art standpoint.
Yeah. And that's I think, but then, like, the slow, like, the slow build of the body snatcher alien sort of, like, augmenting himself in this fucking laboratory, that was, like, very, like, David from the Ridley Scott Prometheus alien.
Thank you.
Whether or not that was deliberate or whether this is an older story that he wrote, I'm not sure, but it was very cool to have that stuff happening and have him start to, like, increase in power and, like, further mutilate the staff as he got pierced in the hallway and just, like, fucking mangled all her bones and left her there, like.
Yeah. He wants to see how much we can take.
Yeah, it was awful. Yeah, and he's just, like, he's in the dark, and the fact that he's, like, high functioning, like a Terminator almost. There's just, like, a lot of elements, like you say, it was a mishmash of, like, of sci-fis to give you one little treat, but it was very derivative, like James said.
That's fine.
Yeah. Like, most things are, but yeah, I think a lesser writer, it would have been embarrassing, but this just comes off as, like, almost, it's weird to say, like, respectful of the tradition, like, these are the elements of horror, space horror.
Yeah.
As we understand it, and, like, he's kind of telling, like, a Dracula story or a Body Snatcher story, or, like, it's all in keeping.
And the derelict ship story, like that's such a that's a genre in and of itself, which is cool. Like I mean, I love that genre.
Yeah, and it's like you guys say too. It's cool because it's like a good writer can do this, make it unique and exciting, and it's on its own, even though it's recycling, because I mean, like, every fucking action movie is doing that. It's just there are people that do it well and people that don't, and luckily for us, Garth is one of the ones that does it well.
And I think the strength in this is the character moments, like Nomi and San's like relationship, as they kind of like, because as Nomi kind of becomes aware that she's attracted to her. Like that's I went back and reread this, and like there's like subtle flirtation through the whole thing, which kind of you pick up on more on the second read through. And just right off the bat, there's like that. I love that. There's that like kind of simp guy who brings her to the coffee, brings Nomi the coffee. She's the ship's communications officer, and like obviously this guy's into her, but like just kind of like a bit of a chump. But like right off the bat, they phase into this ship as they're going through hyperspeed. Like parts of the ship are just like mashed between them, and it's that old horror of teleportation that like like what if you like went into a brick wall and like just became mangled. Like this guy is like sticking out of the wall. This guy who brought her the coffee, and he's twitching and he's still alive, and he's like he wants you to hold his hand. He only has a few seconds to live. Like that's just awful.
Yeah. Where's the it's later on when they get to the crew. Yeah, on a second.
Yeah, the best was that she couldn't even bring herself to hold his hand. She just like left him there to fucking sizzle while the other girl went and took care of it.
Yeah.
That was fucking rough for Buddy's last few seconds.
Yeah,
like, that's what I mean. Like that was genuine. There's genuine horror that was just And the same thing was the guy out in space in the spacesuit when he's out doing the repairs and fucking McCartney or whatever, and then Kieran goes out and gets him.
Yeah.
Like just fucking manhandles him with all super strength and shit while he's in a spacesuit all helpless. That's terrifying.
Yeah. Punches right through the helmet.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of a classic trope thing.
That's true, I guess. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
My favorite of the teleportation horrors is it's just in the text. It's like they're like 12 out of 30 left, and he was like, I was standing next to Jabal and Wright. 1 minute they're talking, the next they're sticking out of a brass wall. Jabal's got an ear and a shoulder and an arm, but Wright was nearer, and the fucking thing ends up vertically bisecting his throat. And even with half his head gone, he still manages to scream himself to death in front of me. That's good, because this artist could never have drawn that, and I don't know how you would put that in comics.
Yeah, true.
And make that work. That's a moment where you just need to sort of evoke with prose, and then which of course Garth knows.
There's a bunch of off panel stuff that actually works to increase tension, like when he first grabs what's her name, Pierce, and like drags her away, and then like she kicks his ass a bit, but he kind of like this body sucks, like power up and like heals, and he's like, oh good, and then you don't know what happens to her until you see her like she's just completely broken, like every like bone seems to be broken, she's just kind of like all twisted and still alive.
You can we hear it, I mean, or read it anyway, like the her screeches or screaming, and yeah. I like how smart everybody is in this book.
Me too.
So appreciated.
And notice that, but yeah, they were just like, that's a better way to do it. And I felt like that to a degree they did that a little bit with Naomi Rapace in the Prometheus movie. Only the rest of the crew were titties. So that sort of moots the whole thing. But like, yeah, when it's neat they're just outclassed here. It's a fucking god awful alien body snatcher who's like basically like ramping up this fucking body like it's a Corvette and just butchering them systematically, and that they don't have any fucking. They don't have anything to fall back on because their ship got phased into another ship and mostly everyone's dead and they're fucking on survival mode, just trying to get oxygen and stuff, but they're all brilliant. and they're all reacting as they should. They're just getting outclassed, which is it makes the story less stupid. It makes you don't have as many like moments. Like
Yeah.
I don't know
if you have any. Oh, go on.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, no, but that was my comment. I don't know if there's. I don't think there's any moment where you were like, oh fuck, that was the wrong decision. Like you maybe like in retrospect you might have made a different one, but who am I to say what these people would do in outer space with a monster in the hallways, right?
I really appreciate when they're fully aware of the situation. They're kind of like, why are we standing on this command deck? Like, why do you think we're just like waiting here? And they kind of put it together, like we got to go down there. We got to go in twos. And just like somebody starts to be like, oh, like, Sand gets to stay here with Nomi, like that. Easy for you to say. But then the one like tough, like mechanic chick, just like, this is exactly what we were talking about. We need to stay together. It's fine. She's going to protect Nomi the best. We can't let him get to her. And just kind of shuts it down. Like that's sort of like bickering that, like ruins like so many movies where like people just start doing dumb shit like that. And then when they're in the hall and he's coming down the hall, she's like, just rush him. Nobody, like not one at a time, like some fucking movie, like everybody go after him.
Yeah. And yeah, because they do bicker so they come out of warp and like the captain, who's ultra efficient, he's been banging his executive officer / girlfriend, whatever. And we don't see them at first, but we know that's what's going on. And then the warp thing happens, and then the captain shows up, and he takes charge. And then I think Malik or San, is San her first name and last name's Malik? Or
I think that's how I read it.
Okay. Yeah. I'll just call her Malik because I that's in my notes, and that's all I'm going to remember. Yeah, she was just like, well, the Pierce is just like, well, where were you guys? And what was there nothing? And they're like, well, where were you? And there's that moment, and it's diffused in the way that military people diffuse things, and they're just going to do stuff. Okay, look, we got to run our program here, and we have to figure out, okay, we're leaking air, so we got to do something about that. We've got all these engineering issues, and we need to do some engineering because they're also astronauts, and they're acting like astronauts. And it's James, you evoked Prometheus, but I'll say it again. I've said it in the past. Like the best thing about the Alien movies or Aliens is Ripley's attitude towards the whole aliens. She's like, look, we got to go to outer space and we have to nuke this whole station. We don't have to fight them. We don't have to stand our ground. We're gonna have to run away and throw a nuclear missile at this shit because then we're done. And that basic intelligence. That true statement is what makes that sensibility ought to permeate Alien, and it permeates this story, and so I think that's another reason I like it, because this strikes me as like even though it's not an Alien book, it's an Alien book, in the grand tradition of Alien, like the true sequel to Alien, sort of, not
absolutely,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking over to the laboratory now for that sort of end sequence.
That's like
it's just such a good opportunity for a real fucking workshop of horrors just wasted.
Yeah, so true. It's kind of a shame. It's a big shame. Like when he's peeling the skin off his own arm.
That actually, I gave that a pass. I just mean like when the girls find his like lab at the end, closer to the end, and it's just like, it looks like fucking, it's rendered like a goddamn episode of Paw Patrol. There's no fucking horrors to be seen. I'm supposed to sort of interpret it. His final form is awesome.
Yeah. There's like butterfly moth wing. I guess we should say that this is like the ship that they've crashed into. There's two aliens on this. There's one that own the ship, and they're kind of like xenobiologists, like cultivation species. Like their whole thing is just maximizing populations, making sure that ecosystems thrive and that they get the most use out of them. And then they landed on this planet where everything was just like bone and like totally exploited. There's nothing left, just skeletons, and they ended up bringing back this possessing entity that totaled this entire world.
It's kind of like it's kind of like Crossed, in that it's possessing. Maybe it's an inversion of Crossed, because this is far more like cerebral, but it's still the same idea that like worlds get. The ultimate horror is that a world will be just driven mad. Just the death drive is just turned on and turned up and never turned off, and that sort of thing infects others and brings horror and madness. I know that's a common thing, but I think there's a similarity to be had there.
There's a layer of ecology to it too, where like it's about how do you treat resources, how do you renew them. Like this thing doesn't care about anything, because it is they make the point over and over that this is a slave driver. It doesn't care about the things under its control. It's going to consume them and then move on to the next thing. And that there's the image of humanity in that too. It's kind of like our potential is between these two aliens.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of like the off-panel horror, the description of Earth, like why is the Caliban out mining ore? Because it brings it back to Earth, and they're like, no one wants to live there anymore because it looks like a tumor, and we just keep bringing stuff back to it.
I love that sequence when they describe like what it's like to be in deep space and to be on this vessel. Am I gonna be able to find it? Where they're talking about like recycled air, like endless void, and there really is like from the very start this idea of like this space madness that they're only they're a mining ship, but most of the people on it are asleep. Only like you have to do rigorous testing to find the people who aren't just gonna like look into space and like step out and just kind of like drift off, like go mad from the infinity of it. And and like it's almost like a negative, like Star Trek shit, It's like they're looking for life, they're looking for things, they haven't found anything yet, and it's just getting to them. Like they've never.
That ties back to the Event Horizon sort of cross-play that James was talking about too.
Totally.
Like the madness, just like
space madness.
Oh man, space dementia. What the fuck? What movie is that? Is that The Rock? Not The Rock. That's Armageddon. When Buscemi goes crazy in space, they're like, "Oh, he's got space madness."
Fuck yeah.
Least
Armageddon.
What the fuck?
No, man, it's a thing. It's well documented.
Absolutely. Well, they weren't psychologically profiled. I mean, like they were a bunch of, I don't want to defend that particular choice too much in that movie, as much as I love Michael Bay. But people, being in a tin can in the middle of like nothingness.
Yeah.
That
lingers.
Different stuff.
It lingers over this story. Just like, what if all that's waiting for us is infinite blackness, or even worse, like what if the highest form of life in the galaxy are the pharaohs and like the slavers,
Yeah.
And eventually you just get molested by a giant fucking homemade Mothman.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
I did like Nomi's comeback, even though there's no explanation as to how on earth she got herself vertical.
Well, after she got stabbed?
Yeah.
Well, because she gave herself the steroid stuff, but she didn't, was off panel. And so after she got stabbed, we think that she's horribly damaged beyond repair, but we don't know that she used space juice, the Mothman juice.
Yeah, but she was critically injured prior to that. So
well,
I think she took it before.
You're really pushing it. Oh.
Yeah, because she gets like stabbed through the back, like just grievously, but then she kind of drags herself back up and like tosses that like mandible into Kyrian and like pins him to the floor. So she's strong at that point. And it's her plan all along is to like force it to change bodies, but she's overdosed on the shit.
Yeah. Admittedly, the way it's drawn, we're not like the amount of blood that's just like pouring out of her mouth and nose. We are. It's kind of an unfair misdirect.
I agree.
but they're whatever. Good misdirect.
I guess.
Nothing but net.
Hey, there's a different facial expression down here.
Oh yeah, man. Just a few. Yeah, the artist really pulls out all the stops to sell the final emotional moment.
The fucking Kirk and Spock moment.
I guess it kind of is. What was I was looking at? I was trying to figure out the dates for this book, and so I ended up the first thing. If you look up Caliban miniseries, you get TV tropes or tropes.com or whatever it is or whatever. And Malik or San, she's what is it like ambiguous brown, something like that. Just like could be Latina, could be East Asian, could uncertain.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I could see that you put a lot of time into this internet. It was funny to me to see that this existed on that website.
And then didn't escape their notice.
Yeah.
Caliban.
All things must be cataloged.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do we got any favorite parts? Anything else? I don't know. I don't. Although I really like this, I knew it would be a quick read and maybe a simple conversation. Like, we could jump off about like, oh my goodness, this is just like us destroying our own planet, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But that's kind of
the final beating's my favorite. The Mothman fucking pummeling, where she's ripped him to fucking bits and just beat the dog shit out of him, stomped on his head.
Oh,
and just drowns him in some old fucking squid urine.
I like the dramatic unity of that, because the first way that Karen kills someone is to jump on their face on that platform, and so that's what she does to him, because why not? Little poetic justice there. And then she drowns him in the same vat that Nomi had accidentally opened up. So yeah, everything's all set up there for the final curtain in a nice little writerly way.
Yeah, and then that's when the old Snatcher jumps ship and realizes he's fucked.
Mm-hmm.
He, she, the creature.
It.
But it's just so intangible also.
Like you don't originally know what the creature looks like. You don't. It's a little too psychic for me too, in that sense.
Yeah, there's something a little bit
I don't know what I'm
unsatisfying.
dealing with. It's just like fucking bird dust fucking went in the guy's lungs from an old alien that wasn't this alien. That there's just something. I mean, maybe I gotta wait for the sequel to get the origin story of the slaver Body Snatchers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, they do that. Like they make that comparison to the pharaoh, right? They have that metaphor of like an archaeologist going into this pharaoh, sees this body, and like the room's all sealed, so it's there, perfectly preserved, this beautiful girl, until the archaeologist opens it up, at which point it crumbles. So they're making that direct comparison to this, this ship that they're on is this pharaoh's tomb. This possessing alien is kind of, it's like, the classic image of the pharaoh is the slaver, that sort of thing, doing all that shit. So that's that crumbling thing. It's just it's stayed in that body because it doesn't give a shit. And like they make that comparison to like the pharaoh's daughter is brought along because the pharaoh doesn't give a shit about her. She's a possession that he can't let go of. Yeah. So that's I guess this alien is the beautiful pharaoh's daughter. But it just waits around until it can hop into his body. But Kyrian too, like I guess an interesting thing is that potential is always in us. That Kyrian was always kind of like that. Like the first thing we see is him being a dick, calling out that simp about bringing just Nomi a coffee. So, oh, you didn't bring one for me too? Like, well, I guess you just brought it for Nomi. And he doesn't fight at all. Like it's. the alien's constantly saying, he didn't fight too hard. It was, I'm sure that even though he's going to be alive for 20 hours of intense body modification, like he's never had that power before. I'm sure he'll be satisfied.
Yeah, because he does play games like he is they even, I heard about this one guy came out just a big fucking massive cock. It's all right though. He got a job as a starship navigator.
That's right.
Yeah, just kind of the personalities being amplified and made worse. And I don't know. It's a lot of blending, a lot of mixing. I mean, we already said, but it's I don't know. It's good. I like that the aliens just commit mass suicide, and in this particular instance, they had entombed themselves trying to trap the pharaoh, I guess we'll say. So he's it's an evil spirit too. Like, even though it's all science, it's also like magic. We've caged the demon. We opened Pandora's box. We closed Pandora's box, and now the box is open again. And sort of our cataloging spirit, our spirit of conquest and that sort of thing is sort of unleashed.
Yeah, to you who find us, we're sorry. Like, you gotta take the step to nuke this thing.
Yeah. Sometimes mass suicide is the only way.
It's the best.
Extinction agenda.
Hey, did you guys notice I see what happened here at the end of the book, the Caliban sketchbook by Facundo Perucio.
Mm-hmm.
His sketchbook's far better than his art.
Okay. So
that's one thing. And then I don't know if you noticed other Avatar press titles by Garth Ennis leading the way. Dicks with John McCrae.
Yeah.
How did that one slip past us, boys? We never read that.
Oh, didn't you? Okay, so I feel that you owned some issues of Dicks way back when. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I couldn't get into it.
No, that's a fair accusation, but I don't actually have any issues of Dicks.
Anyway, I couldn't get into that one. It was his collaborations with John McCrae. It leaves me a little cold sometimes. Maybe I just remember it being like and this sounds like a weird complaint, but it felt very dense, and it felt like the jokes weren't coming off right. But that was a long time ago, and so maybe now that I'm more mature, I'd get the humor. But I suspect maybe I just wasn't.
3.2 out of 5 is.
You're expecting that added maturity is going to help you appreciate dicks more?
I think so. Yeah.
Dicks Volume 1. No, I think I did have some issues of this.
Absolutely you did.
There's no version of me that would have let this slide.
No, I'm certain of, because that's the only reason I feel that I've ever looked at those comics, ever seen a dick, is just, seen a dicks.
Oh, yeah, I can see them with the halos over their heads and the cigarettes.
Yeah.
I had that specific issue right there. Is that Dick's number 1, maybe?
Right, yeah. If we ever get a chance, I highly recommend that we read Rover Red Charlie. That's a beauty. That's a very special book. We have to read that with We 3, I think. I think that's a good pairing.
Oh, that sounds good.
Ooh, I have We 3.
We 3 is great.
Streets of Glory. He does a lot of work with Jason Burrows. It's early Jason Burrows, so it's not the best, but it's very good. Mike Wolfer, Streets of Glory. Me and Mike Wolfer, we don't necessarily get along. He's not my favorite. He does a lot of stuff with Warren Ellis, or early stuff. Like, I think that whole Scars or Strange Kisses. Yeah, I think Strange Kiss or something like that. Anyway. So anyway, Garth is busy. He's been busy with Avatar for a good long while, and the sad part is like, I don't know if Avatar is ever going to really come back. They still haven't. But we're going to keep checking in every year with Avatar August until we run out of Avatar August books, or we run out of Augusts.
Jesus.
Yeah. Do we? Is it safe to give Caliban a guilty or innocent?
I think so.
Yeah. I'll go first. The Caliban. very guilty of being highly derivative, and guilty of having really uninspired art, and guilty of nonetheless being a pretty good comic book. Triple guilt. Terrible. I leave it to the jury to decide the damages.
That's fair. I'm gonna say, yeah, definitely guilty of showboating or making false promises. Fraud. It promised to go out to the reaches of space and bring back something unique, but just kind of hauled back a lot of the same old shit. But I still love it.
Oh, that's nice. I bet I would love for that to be the verdict of a judge one day. Guilty, but I still love you. I still love you. How you feel, James? How do you feel?
I don't know. I just like guilty. No, you know what? I really liked it though. Like I gave it the fucking hardest shit of anybody.
Yeah.
On that art, but I had a blast. I read it read through real smooth. Script was nice. All my favorite sci-fi smut tropes were there. It should be a movie. It would be a great movie.
Oh my goodness. I agree. This is totally ready for movie time.
Yeah.
It feels like
bad practical effects, and I'm on board.
Yeah, it feels like the Millar treatment, like the one and done, like just get perfectly, bite-sized, and you could definitely do a movie out of it.
Yeah. Only Garth isn't an absolute whore, and so this will be a done in one, and he's going to walk away from it because that's like he's done. And Garth has that sort of integrity, and he's not trying to create Millar world. And yet, still just as successful, I think. Actually, no, that's not fair. We've talked about Millar's fortunes. You guys, you got to be excited. I know, James, you're excited for Nemesis 2, and team ups with Pepe Larraz. That's gonna be.
I'm really excited.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm also really excited. I don't know if you're dipping into The Boys at all, but like I haven't really started season 3 yet, and I'm ready for the love sausage.
Oh man, it's good. There's like no misfiring on it. James,
I can't believe that they let Garth get away with the. First of all, I can't believe Garth was able to bring us the love sausage on television inside of our lifetimes. Think about that.
Yeah.
And also like I got to see Ant-Man go into a guy's penis hole already on TV.
There's part of that.
Doesn't count as on TV though. Does not count. If it's on Amazon,
that's new TV, man.
You know what, man? The fact that this show is like a cultural, like I talk to like just people at work who like you wouldn't expect, and they watch The Boys, and you're like everyone is watching the show.
You're like, crazy. Oh yeah, I love The Boys, but no one will talk about it. But they'll tell you watching exactly. It, and you just give each other
bad
that.
About this.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I watched the conclusion. I watched the last episode of season 3 because I was curious about where it was gonna go. Yeah, I don't have anything to say because I don't know if you guys have watched it.
Oh no, I only watched the first episode. You should have watched the first episode. It was probably better.
No, I did. I watched the first 3 episodes, and then I was like, you know what? I'm totally done with that. I'll just.
You're like, I see what's happening.
Yeah. And no, it's like honestly, guys, like, and I know this makes me sound like a princess or whatever, but I mean, like, I feel that that's pretty a successful TV show if you've got me to watch even like half your season. I think in my books that's a success because I just can't.
True. Yeah, you hate TV.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never watch 4 episodes of fucking anything we talk about. Now that I mention it.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, and I wanted to know how it ended. So that I think that's also is a success. I was like, because I don't mind not understanding the middle bits because I don't need the middle bits. I'll just make up the middle bits. I got enough.
Homer Simpson.
That's right.
When you're bored, you make up your own movie.
Yeah, fucking right. A little slow. Yeah. So anyway, I guess that's Caliban. I guess that's Garth Ennis. Watch The Boys, everyone. It's pretty good.
Give Garth your money.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.